extending QR code for space occupancy and space utilization, adopting from post-COVID-19 new norm. QR is stand for quick response, as for your information. Before the presentation begins, allow me to introduce our honorable speaker on this evening. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Ahmad Sha'rainon Md Shaarani is a managing director of Microcorp Sdn Bhd, a very well-known company providing integrated workplace management system, IWMS. From the age of 16, Mr. Ahmad Sha'rainon Md Shaarani has studied land surveying at the Kuala Lumpur Technical Institute. He then continued his studies in the land survey at University of Technology, Malaysia, UiTM in 1993. He has over 27 years of working experience. He began his career in 1993 as a junior surveyor. He was involved with a lot of projects. In June 2000, he started his business at Microcorp Technology Sdn Bhd. He is responsible for overseeing the overall operations of the Microcorp, the company in developing ICT infrastructure project. Since we are in online webinar talk now, I hope that ladies and gentlemen can remain seated and stay focused. You all may let your camera switch on, so Mr. Sha'rainon not alone, but please mute all the audios during the presentation. There will be a question and answer session after our speaker finish his presentation. Participants may throw out their questions by unmute the audio and can speak directly to the speaker, and another option is by send your question in the chat box. Please don't forget to introduce yourself first, yeah? All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to welcome the speaker to deliver his presentation. All right, Mr. Sha'rainon, the screen is yours now. Please welcome.
Thank you, Nash. Thank you, UiTM, for this collaboration. I think this is the second time that we have this collaboration. Okay, basically tonight we like touch base on the QR code, So I think that everybody is get used to this QR codes nowadays, especially during COVID-19. I have some slide, but I think because this more talk in terms of providing slide, but I did also some slide. So I will share my slide. Meantime, I need to mute my WhatsApp. Otherwise, it keep on pop-upping all the messages came in. Stop notification. Then we can focus on this event tonight. Okay. So, since that everybody is familiar with these QR codes, So, okay, before that, this is a little bit of content of tonight activity. Little bit explanation about QR codes, and how can we apply this QR code? How can it benefits when it happen? It means that when we use it, what is going to happen to all the data behind it. So little bit explanation, what is QR code? I think since that everybody is using QR codes, we go anywhere without fail, we need to scan this. And I did some research, where is QR code? Who created this QR codes? So actually it's been created by Toyota subsidiary, Denso Wave in 1994. So it's been used for asset tracking or maybe part tracking of vehicles, parts tracking when they want to manufacture Toyota products, I think. So it's quite old, 1994, Those days, nobody bother to use this, or maybe nobody interested to scan this, Thank you to Alisha helping me to prepare this slide. Alisha is one of my facility management team. So she prepared this slide for us tonight. Okay, seeing that everybody are using QR codes, so they scan the QR codes, you know. Remember that last few week ago, we have event, we have webinar mentioning about data is a new oil. Okay? So what does it mean data is new oil those days, you know? So actually behind this QR code, there's a lot of data that being captured daily, every single second, especially in Malaysia. Everywhere you go, when you want to enter any facility, when you want to enter any buildings or any restaurants or any place, you know, so you need to scan these QR codes. And meanwhile, the data being collected by the Malaysian government under the Ministry of, in not mistaken, Ministry of Health, you know, so they have this data, you know. So as a facility manager, if I want to manage space, of course, I would like to have this data, because from this collection of data, I can start do the analysis about the utilization or about the occupancy of the people entering to any facility. Of course, others will also interested to have this data because of the marketings of the whatever things that they can do about this data, you know. But as a facility manager, especially when we want to manage the space, this data is very, very expensive to us, you know, because if we want to collect this information without this COVID-19 standard operating procedure, especially for the attendance, for the information of people entering to any facility, is very difficult, you know. But because of this SOP, or they call it standard operating procedure, is a rules and it's a regulation that for us to scan, so without fail, we need to scan. So if we don't scan it, for example, we enter one of the restaurant, we don't scan it, and so suddenly the police make a inspection, so they will identify that you are not scanning the codes, you know, you might be fined for 1,000 ringgit. So as easy as that, you know. So that's how actually due to this COVID-19, you know, so this information data is available and then easily for us to actually can make use this data for further analysis, you know. Okay, how to transform the code, you know, if we not practice about the signages, if we are not creating about the space code, you know, so we can't link this code to any space because we don't have a space information or space tagging, you know. So, and this is one of the example of the policy, how to number the rooms, you know. I think those days we number the room, we put up in proper manners, like, you know, a spec for the code, a small tagging on top of the, we put it on top of the, okay, I think I jumps on top of the rooms, you know, but nobody bother about this information actually. I mean, about this, why we need to do this tagging, you know. From this COVID-19 situation, you know, this how the relationship between the code, the SOP, the space tagging or the room tagging, if we can be linked together and then become the very useful information for us to analyze. Okay. So the code is being created space function actually. Behind the code, there is a lot of data. You know, behind the code, there is a lot of structure that need to be created, you know, when we design the building. You know, for example, we do have the A0105 is meant for the surau. Q0113 is meant for pantry, you know. So this information, without knowing, without we realize, is being created during the design stage by the architects actually, by the architects, you know. But nobody appreciate this information until this COVID-19, you know. until maybe we can link or we can bring this information together with the numbers of people that entering to any space. Then we can start calculating based from this space function, how many people entering. For example, if you want to measure how many people that come for the Zohor prayer, so we can easily, because when you enter to surau, you scan the codes, we can easily calculate during the Zuhur prayer. So what are the utilization rate of our surau, So that is surau, So it's not, how about the other place like, like pantry, like what else, we can capture this information. Those days, we don't have this QR code, we don't have this SOP, we have a books where we need to register, we need to register, we need to key in we need to write our name. So it's quite troublesome, So I believe we still have this situation where people lazy to scan, or maybe they don't bring the phone, they don't want to scan, they need to read, they need to write at the books, So they names, their phone number, their contacts, So for the reason why is because of they want to go for contact tracing in case there is a situation where one of the people that entering to the area detected they have a COVID-19, So and of course this is the spec or the specification when you want to put the space tag, we need to put on top of the right, top of the door, on the right, on the entrance, hall with the few door and the same entrance need to put in the middle, These are the requirement how to tag the room, And of course, you only can find this information in the signages specification in any construction project, because you can't find this easily in anywhere except in the signages specification. Next is about where they put it, how they paste it. And then from there, they blend in the QR code. You see on the left, underneath the space tagging, there's on the left hand side, there's a QR code there. That's where we start to apply the number and also the codes, So when you scan these QR codes, so you are actually entering to these rooms, So it automatically become your attendance system. It become your attendance system. You don't need to write what time you in, because the system already captured the information of your time in automatic way without you realize it, So then this is like how the beauty of this QR code when we link with the rooms and when we use this information, the data that we have as a attendance system. And I think nowadays maybe a lot of lecturer are using this QR code. They link it to the Google Drive. I think Google Drive as their attendance. So the student don't need to write their names, but they need to use their phones so to scan, and in order for them to confirm that they are attending the class. Same goes like when we are having a class online. Nowadays, like in UiTM, there is a QR code. We need to scan it, mentioning we are actually attending the class. So this is like a bit, but that's for attendance. When they don't have a QR created, they can make use as part of parcel of their scanning activities. How this thing works? Okay. So see that every places that have a tagging, they nowadays with together with the QR codes. So this is an example that how we did, how we actually tag the rooms. Actually, every room have the numbers tagging together with the QR codes. Even the guard house also have it. Okay, let's see how the system flow. So arrive at the building, scan the QR code, key in personal data. Some of them no need to key in, some of them need to be key in. And then the system will start recognize you. It's like handshake that you are there, and then you proceed to the lecture room, and then you start scanning about the inside the lecture rooms, and this again, now they capture the information from the building. Now you are at which room. So these are the movement of the personnel. You can easily capture it, the movement from the QR codes. Practice this, but now we only scan it at the entrance of the building, because at the space or each of the room they don't have the QR codes. So if we can extend a little bit further the QR code to every rooms, so this can be easily captured. Okay, so that movement of the information of the data that been transferred from the entering to the building, entering to the room, and then when you finish, you can scan it again to confirm that you are actually exit the rooms, and then the report can be easily analyzed. So it's simple. Is it simple? This QR code matters that from the COVID-19, we apply it to the activity of the rooms, then we can start collecting a lot of information, and we can start generating a lot of reports from there. So it's not the activity actually. So this is the flow of the data capture. So everything's information. You can start from this data. You can start to do occupancy plan, employee headcounts, employee inventory, locate vacant space, and reports. So from this activity, if you link with your space data, you can start realize that there is a rooms never been entered, there is a space never been used, there is a place or space that been overutilized. So this is the analysis of reports then we can produce from the exercise of the QR codes. So of course, since that you have a space inventory, then that's where the utilization reports can be generated easily and captured accurately. So not like last time, by extending the QR codes like we did for COVID-19 scanning to the rooms, so all this information become more accurate, and it's a near real time. Okay. So benefit of QR code to space management. Okay. Of course, identification process. I believe that there will be a lot of time saving, and that's easily to verify because everybody based on your phone, So like I mentioned, you can easily to utilize this as attendance, mapping, and time monitoring. And time monitoring, we can monitor when is the peak time of people in the space, So attendance already explained just now. And access control. From the scanning of the QR code, of course, there is you can put further thing because of the reason why you are visiting, So whether you already grant an access to enter to premise, So this is can easily be created, Of course, when I said by having this QR code, actually is reducing a lot of physical infrastructure costs. You don't need to have card attendance, card system, thumbprint, So you can extend the attendance system beyond limit, So without having extra physical infrastructure costs, without need to create the cabling works, the electrical works, installing the physical access systems, So it's a lot of saving actually when we take the example of this COVID-19 QR codes, scanning activities, when we apply it for space management, there's a lot of cost saving element that we can harvest from the activity. Why I said that during COVID-19, we can easily do this is because there is a supporting procedure, regulation, and law behind it. So if it's not been supported by this regulation, nobody bother to scan it. Like what we have those days. You scan the QR code from your lecturer because there is a regulation being imposed to you. You need to scan it in order to capture your attendance. Without this regulation, I don't think that you're going to scan it. So the implementation of this QR code for space management, to get or to harvest the information, we need to govern the strong procedure behind it, strong regulation behind it, in order to capture this information for us to do the further analysis, for us to process further activities, for us to do a lot of processing activities. Of course, this procedure also been governed by the PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act. So we can't easily make use this information for others. So we combine PDPA, COVID-19, what else, together, and then it become method for monitoring of movement, or method for monitoring of the data in our facility, as a reason that we want to process it to improve our facility, if in case that it's not really supporting the client, the end user. So from this information, we can actually do further enhancement of our facility. Okay, so I think there's the impact of COVID-19 SOP to our space management, like provide honest or operator of data models. Of course, we can do a lot of big data analytics from the data to wisdom. From the data to wisdom, I always like to use this, data, information, knowledge, and wisdom, DIKW. I think this is from Peter Drucker, the book of management. I got it from this writer, a very famous writer about the data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. And this is the proof that where data become the information and people use this information, become knowledgeable, and when they become knowledgeable, they will create a wisdom in their mind what they want to do next. Improve communication and renewed focus. So proactive communication and renewed focus on safety and security. Of course, because COVID-19, the reason behind it is because of safety and security. People have to follow, understand how space user priority and preference have changed, because of this COVID-19. If we apply it to our facility, if we don't apply it in the better manner, so we can't harvest the good information, and there will be no knowledge being sparked, and the wisdom is very low. Of course, confident in the safety of space. Owner and operator are confident and understand how to reduce risk in their physical office. This is the impact of the COVID-19 SOP management, actually. So I think this is my last slide. So before we start our session on the question and answer, or anything that you would like to have, Nesh. Over to you, Nesh.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sha'rainon, for the very informative and very interesting talk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to question and answer session. As I mentioned earlier, at the beginning of our event, there are two methods of asking question. First, you can just unmute and speak directly to the speaker, or you may type your question in the chat box. Okay, any questions from the floor?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Anas here. I'm Anas. I'm a student of facility management, UiTM Shah Alam. Thank you for your slides. It's very informative. To be honest, I've been heard this QR code so many long time, but today I just know that the meaning is quick response. Before this, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. My question is, I have one question. I just want to ask you. Is it there is any limitations, or I can say that how long that the data will be stored in the system? If you can see, I'm not sure, is it the data is will remain forever, or it will deleted in certain times, or it will overwrite? That is my answer. I need to know, because as a facility management, of course, we need to know the space utilization. We need to know the records, but we don't know how long the data will be keep in the store. So is it there any limitation of time? This my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anas.
Good question. Actually, when we want to manage space management in the facility, of course, we want to keep the data for a period of time. So whether we want to keep it for 1 year period, or after, or we only want to keep it for 6 months, and the size of it is like we subscribe, and maybe we store this data in the Google Drive, As long as you have the space in the Google Drive, you still can keep the data. As long that you have space, because when we subscribe a Google Drive, it's always based on the what is the size of the hard disk that we want to subscribe. So, and we need to put a procedure. So after 1 year, we only want to keep not the raw data, but the analysis data, the reports. So the raw data will be removed from the hard disk, from the system. We just keep the reports, after 1 year, for example. Or maybe because of you have a limitation of the storage, so every month, so you just keep the report, you can remove the raw data. And remove the raw data. I mean, this is like, because we want to analyze our space, The report is important, the raw data is no longer needed. There is a tool of data. One is raw data, which is time and everything. After you process, you keep the reports, But if you want to keep the data as evidence, maybe you put a time frame, 1 year, for instance, to keep the data. So I think that's the way how we want to size it. There is no restriction. It's up to you to restrict it, Like I said, when we subscribe the Google Drive, so we pay for 1 year, maybe for every month, maybe like 10 ringgit, they give you 500 gig, So, and you can keep your data forever inside there. But when the time that you think that your size is no longer needed, you can remove. Or when the time that you think the space or the size of the hard disk is not enough, you want to subscribe an extension like another 500 gig, whether you pay or you remove your old data. So it's up to you. Did I answer you, Anas?
Yes, sir. Yes. Noted on your answer. So basically, we can back up the data to our own record lah. Yeah, I understand that. All right. Thank you.
The best is that you backup, you keep the reports, remove the raw data. If the raw data is no longer important to you because you already come up with the reports, the analysis.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anas, for the question and also the answer from Mr. Sha'rainon. Any other questions?
So by the way, we also, whoever that have an issue to access the webinar via the Zoom, you can also go to, we have a live on our Facebook page. So maybe some of the people that is not able to join via the Zoom, they can see it live in our Facebook page, Microcorp page.
All right, maybe I also have another question here, Mr. Sha'rainon. Because as we aware, few months ago, there are something like data being stolen and being sold to another third party, maybe to manipulate or something like that. earlier in your presentation, I also did heard that there are something like Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, which the data will be protected, but still it's data. I do believe there's also a risk where this data been go to another third party or somewhere. Is there something like a notification if, let's say, the data is stolen and there's a notification to the owner of the data that this data has been stolen, this data has been manipulated? Is there something like that, Mr. Sha'rainon?
Okay. You know that, like I said, that data is a new oil. You know, somebody
Yeah, new oil.
captured because of the stolen data. I mean, they stole the data. I mean, they steal the data. I think there's a cases. I think 3 months ago. You know, there's one guy that I always make a joke on it. So if you steal the oil, you're not being captured. I mean, it's been captured. It's not wrong, for example. You know, but you steal the data, being captured, then you are wrong. You know? So because of the they are using this data to manipulate it. You know, for example, they use this data to make a scam call, because inside the data there is because when you scan it in your phone, there will be your name, your IC number, your identification card number, your phone number, you know, maybe your address, you know, maybe other than that, you know, because when you fill MySejahtera, that's all the information that you key in inside MySejahtera is being kept by the Kementerian, I think maybe for the Ministry of Health. You know, they store all the data that related to you, you know. So under the under the PDPA, they call it Personal Data Protection Act. You know, first you need to authorize them to keep your data. That's why there is a disclaimer that allowing the organizer to keep the data. You know, to have your data. You know, and it's responsibility of the organizer to make sure that they kept the data, they secure the data. And if the data is stolen, it's responsibility of the organizer that hold the data. You can bring them to court, you know. You can make a report to SKMM, our Ministry of I think Communication and Multimedia, you know. So that's your data now be at somebody's hand, you know. It's like you can make a report when you receive a Macau scam message on the phone. Okay, you can make a report. So, you know that this number, you can just put at the WhatsApp there, make a report. You know, so this one of the element, the responsibility of the organizer. You know, so when you ask me about, do you have any system or anything that can trigger you if your data been manipulated, you know, at the moment I don't see any. Because at the moment only Google have it. For example, when you activate the function of your certain security level on your Google, so if somebody log in, they will explain to you or maybe notify you that somebody log in under your your username. I don't know. So that's how the protection that Google created. So that maybe now maybe you feel that you have a 3-layer protection. If you log into your Gmail, your Google Mail, then you need to, if you activate that function, you need to authorize it, and your phone will be notified whether you are actually logged in or somebody else log in. So this is one of the element of security that been introduced. Yeah, that's I can explain to you lah. Other than that, like somebody, you know, scan using your phone, you know, I mean the system can't detect. I mean we also cannot detect, you know. That's why it's important your password, you know. Those days, you know, I remember those days we put the password, especially married men like me, you know. When we put the password, the wife start asking why you put the phone password. You know? You got some things that very confidential inside. So, but nowadays I don't think there's an issue because everybody have a password in the phone, and some of them have a face recognition. Some of them have the thumbprint on the phones, you know. So the intention is to protect the data. So that's one of the example that Google have it. So I don't know other have that. I don't use Microsoft, but I believe they also have that. Samsung also have it. When you log in to Samsung, and Apple also have it. It's not mistaken, Apple also have it. When you log in to their Apple accounts, and they will notify you that somebody actually log in. If they are, you can click yes. So this is simple because QR code is not yet lah. I don't see any.
All right, noted that, Mr. Sha'rainon. Okay, we have a question here in the chat box from Professor Madia, Dr. Rima. Why Dr. Rima didn't want to speak? Okay, I just read the question here. Is there any potential for QR code to replace the conventional barcodes? Wow. As the QR code can do more and have the potential to increase an organization's productivity. For example, here, responding to work orders and doing repairs. That's the question from our Dr. Rima here.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. I think this question is very good question actually. It's breaking the ice. At the moment, we have RFID. Remember that other than QR code, we have RFID, radio frequency identification tag, RFID. But to implement RFID, a little bit expensive because we need to buy the tag, So last time I remember one RFID tag can cost you RM1 or $1. Okay, whoever that bought a handbag, remember that they bought the handbags. If you look at the handbag, there is a RFID chip inside it, So, and sometimes if you go to the shopping mall, sometimes the security system trigger when one lady carry a handbag, even though it's a personal handbag, and suddenly the alarm trigger because when they bought the handbag, they forgot to disable the function of the RFID to become activated or deactivated, So that's another replacement of the QR code, RFID tag, But RFID tag is quite expensive. I mean, to implement it, But if the price drop, so it's good to implement it for the expensive asset. That's why only the expensive handbag have the RFID. Normally, man handbag don't have, So man handbag don't have, or man wallet don't have, So to replace all the conventional barcode to QR code, there will be of potential because now everybody are using QR codes, and the beauty of the QR codes, when you scan with the phone, when you link with other application, is actually you can open a work order. I can scan the asset like the air conditioning system that have a QR codes. Then I can link this QR code to another form, like maybe a complaint form, maybe a condition assessment audit, or maybe building condition assessment. You have the codes already at the block. When you scan it, so you can make use this code to link with other application. And you can link with the maybe condition assessment form. So scan it, and then the form will pop up, and the simple form that you can use, to show the increased productivity and reduce the cost. You scan the QR code, you link with the Google Drive. Then in the Google Drive, you can open a Google questionnaire. So this definitely can reduce the cost to having a good expensive software like what we have in the market. So in order for you to do the building condition audit, for example, so you can link the audit with the QR code, and you can have the application ready. So this is like how reduce the cost, increase the productivity. Then if you want to have a complaint system, because the QR code has been implemented for the space tagging and for the asset inventory or asset ID, so we can make use this tagging or the QR code for other application. Like maybe you identify your air conditioning system in the room, you scan the QR code, link it with the complaint system, and you can make a complaint immediately. You know, of course, you need to have your phone connected to the internet. So if your phone not connected to internet, you can't access to the Google form. And so this is the beauty of these QR codes. I remember when I were in Paris explaining about this QR code 3 years ago. You know, this guy putting a QR code. When they scan the QR codes, the procedure to operate the assets been pop up on the screen of the phone. So they can do step-by-step maintenance actually, because scan it and then they can make a choice. You want to see what? I want to see how to do step-by-step maintenance activity for these assets. You know, so this one of the few example that I have found it in the world. They are utilizing QR codes, you know, and they reduce the cost for their operation, and they can increase their productivity.
Right. Hopefully.
So maybe somebody in UiTM can create this. I mean, you have the codes.
Thank you, Mr. Shaarani. Very interesting. Yeah, we deal with live data, isn't it? And then the networking sounds a little bit very complex, but I think for the user part, might be more user friendly lah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can. We don't need to. Last time when we implement the complaint system, we use the help desk function. We need to call them and report the problem, and the call center need to key in the information. Okay? So this is like we are transferring the function of key in information to the people that scan the QR codes, and then they start key in the information on behalf of the center. So it's like a transfer responsibility, you know.
Possible.
Yeah. So, and I think this is like last time I remember there is one question came from one of our client. If I implement this kind of system, should I increase my manpower? Because a lot of people needed to key in their data, you know. So I explained to him that the data is no longer, the responsibility of the key in data is no longer falls under facility management team. We transfer it to the end user. They are actually key in the data. For example, okay, when we did the building condition assessment, we need to have a building surveyor to conduct the audit. So why not we change it? A building surveyor no need to go to site, but we created a form and we link with the QR codes. We ask the end user to audit their asset, and then when they audit their asset like self-declaration, like what we did with Lembaga Hasil, self-declaration, and then the data landed at the building surveyor office, and from there they study and they analyze. They only audit certain people, certain asset that they found in the report that's like a weird report or something that is not correct, you know. So we can reduce the effort of the audit, but we can extend the numbers of the audit activity or condition assessment activity throughout the campus. Throughout the campus, under the concept of the self-declaration of their asset, self-declaration of their spaces. We can extend the audit to all the students, and they can, key in, putting all the information here, landed at the building surveyor team, and then from there they can analyze. We change the function of the building surveyor is no longer audit general, but audit specialist information or specialist situation. So it's like bring them up. Bring the level of the building surveyor of the audit teams up, you know. So we don't need to have many auditor. Sorry, we don't need to have the many on-site audit team actually. So we can reduce the times to. We
Just
can
expedite this process.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Welcome.
All right.
Ash,
Question. Yeah.
Before you joining the master program with UiTM, what you are doing actually? I mean,
okay,
you don't share your
my experience,
your experience,
my
your profile.
background. Okay, actually, I'm by profession I am an architect, Mr. Sha'rainon.
Okay.
I'm an architect and also lecturer in USIM, University Sains Islam Malaysia in Nilai. So I'm practice and also lecturing at the same time. As you know, if we are in this academic world, we should have the highest education level. So I further this master level and also hopefully, inshallah, next for PhD.
Okay, it's good. Okay, this where I want to share with you, and I think when you as an architect,
yes,
you are the first person do the space management actually.
inshallah. Okay.
I mean, when you designing something, you start asking people about the space that what they want.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So and then you start come up with the table or come up with the organization chart. You know,
Yes.
about for example, you want somebody want to build a bungalow. You know, and then you start asking how big the bungalow that you want. You know, and then how many story. 2-story bungalow, 3-story bungalow, okay, and then you start list down, you know, whatever that you list is the first space information being captured or being created by the architect. So, but this information dilute along when you construct the bungalow, you know, the dilute, you know. But it's been created earlier, but it's dilute because of you already have the space. So the information that you created is no longer a priority, you know. So we start to focus the construction of the space, you know. Same goes to the drawing because of share the space, you transfer it to the drawing. So you start to have scale on your drawing. That's how the space information dilute from the construction throughout the time, you know. But you start to looking this information when you want to do the audit, or maybe when you want to do the handing over, you know, when you want to do handing over. If the client not like me, you are okay. If a client like me, I start asking, are you actually constructed according to the agreed space that you want? Then you are in trouble because you start to search back what are the agreed space that you talking those days, you know. So then you start to do the measurement to confirm whether I constructing the right size that we agreed earlier. So this where nobody actually, when we do a handing over, nobody asking about the size of the space, except that I only found one client do that, you know, UiTM. And UiTM is start asking the contractor to measure whether they get the right size of the agreed classroom that been requested before or not. So UiTM have the team to measure that. I mean, they want to make sure that whatever that they pay, they get, you know. So that's how I saw there is, when I did many projects, many contracts, you know, maybe more than 15 project related to facility management, only team actually measure the space. They want to know whether they get their size or not. So others, because they already, I mean, because they already happy with the room size, they happy with the what they're getting inside the room, all brand new table, brand new, you know. So they forgot about the size, you know.
Right, the exact term for whatever things that Mr. Sha'rainon mentioned earlier is actually as-built drawing. So everybody here, if you consult an architect later on after the project is completed, ask them where's the as-built drawing, because you really need that as-built drawing if you want to something like you want to do a modification, renovation to submit into the local authorities.
Okay. The good part is the government of Selangor practicing that nowadays. When you have an offices, if you want to get the permit to operate as a business, so you need to submit your floor plan, your current floor plan. If you conduct any renovation in your offices, so you need to find an architect, confirm back the space, and submit a new plan. Without that plan, they're not going to give you a permit to operate as a business entity or to operate as a business to operate as a company, to conduct a business, So it's actually a good practice. It's a good practice because they encourage people to safeguard of their as-built information and been updated time to time. But again, who are actually looking after the information? Who analyze this? So this is the data that is not, this is a lot of data, and I don't know who analyzed this data, So I don't know whether this data being shared with the fire department. Okay. So for example, maybe the fire department, when they scan to the area or to the any incident, if there is a QR code, they scan a QR code and then they put up the information about how many people there. So this one of the things that maybe somebody can come up with a brilliant idea to create this application from the QR code.
Fire certificate.
Fire certificate also can, from fire certificate, like what government Selangor did, I submit the drawing. So, but again, fire department audit us. I don't think they are actually have this connection between whatever that being created by the government and the fire departments, So if we travel to the state, maybe travel to the US, each of the spaces inside the hotel, for example, there is a declaration, This room is meant for 50 people only. So it's like a regulation about this space, If you want, this way the hotel need to make sure that they are following the regulation. From the size of the room, is only allowing them to operate for 50 people or to occupy for 50 people at any one time. So this is a regulation related to the space of that's the reason why the space management activity is more popular in the state, in the Europe or in the UK, but it's not popular yet in Asia.
Right, Mr. Sha'rainon. Perhaps maybe we can hear any question or maybe sharing experience maybe from our international participant here. We have an international participant from UAE earlier, right? And also,
how about Mr. Jamie?
Mr. Jamie, maybe you can share what about the QR code whatsoever things that in UAE currently. Is it similar with what happened now in Malaysia? And also maybe our friend from Indonesia, Mr. Jeffrey earlier, right?
Yeah.
Any question? Everybody clear?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Our
Yeah.
friend
Can you hear me?
UAE.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. From here in the UAE, so usually what we have done already from the past, we have, I think Mr. Ahmad knows this very well. We have this CAFM, or what we call it as the computer aided facility management, which we implement as a software to basically monitor and track the facility management deliverables for the like of reactive, the planned preventive maintenance, and the most important that we really use is the asset management, what we call it. So within the asset management, you have the details of the asset, the full description, the different system that is being tracked and monitored. And that's exactly what's the topic that was discussed by Ahmad, is related to the QR, in terms of scanning. And then within the CAPM, we do have this PDA that we issued to our technical team on site, which within that, they can also scan the barcode that is being put in the different assets. So usually I'm just referring to the MEP asset. And then based on the QR, they will scan, and then whatever the findings or complaints, or let's say, for example, if they are doing the preventive maintenance activities, it will be giving the live update to the software itself, or the CAPM system itself. So that's how we are using within the, majority of the facility management service provider in the country or in the region, the majority, they have their own CAPM that they use for delivering the services in the different assets.
Yeah, that's great, because you are advanced compared to us, because from the CAFM, I know that when you say CAFM, so it means that you already used this long time ago.
Yes, but actually, it's true. But as you know, that whatever the services that we are delivering, we always dependent on the commercial part, as you can say, because yes, from the FM service provider, they do have it, but it always depends on the client when they are tendering the bid, because some of the client, they have only limited budget to deliver the service. Although from the service provider perspective, they do have it, but it's not really a service that they can easily operate. Not at least they will agree that on that particular cost of the services. You know what I mean? So, which is a big challenge at the moment, especially the pandemic that we have recently. So everyone are looking for the cost reduction of the services, but without compromising the quality of the services that the client are receiving. So it's being balanced properly, just to make sure we're still delivering the services that the client required from the service provider.
Yeah. So what I explained just now is a very simple application. So, but if you want to go a real complex, like what Mr. Jaime said, we link this to CAFM, Computer Aided Facility Management. UiTM has that CAFM system. UiTM call it TIFM, Total Infrastructure Facility Management. But the only thing is that they are not yet linking it barcodes or the barcodes to the assets. So I think this next movement is that UiTM have the asset coding concept, the policy. I think in the country, UiTM have the most inventorized assets, family. They did it, from, if not mistaken, early of year 2000, or maybe late of year 1990s, So they build up all the database, So you have all the inventory, all the family, all the structure of the asset. But the only thing that is not yet been practiced is that linking it with any barcode, any QR codes, or maybe they have it, but it's not really integrated. Maybe in the piecemeal option, maybe the valuable assets, because those days QR code or barcode also is not cheap, Those days, the QR code. Those days we don't have the phone that can scan the barcode, So you need to buy the barcode scanner, and that barcode scanner is damn expensive those days. I think it can go up to 10,000 ringgit per pieces, So maybe from now, maybe we can leveraging the existing system that they have, the existing concept of the QR code that currently been used, and maybe we can integrate it together and you just use the phone. You don't need to buy any expensive equipment to do a scanning works. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing.
Thank you, Mr. Jaime. I really miss all my Filipino friends.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Because I heard that your English slang is from Philippines, right, Mr. Jaime?
Yes, I'm from the Philippines, but working in UAE. Yes, correct. Yeah.
because I have experience last time in 2012 working in Philippines where I on behalf
Wow.
of the government of Malaysia as a
Mhm.
project manager to manage the project of our embassy there in Makati City. That is why when
Wow.
speak
Wow.
earlier, oh, this is from Philippines. I really miss them all.
Yes,
Mr.
that's
Jaime,
good.
thank you very much. Thank you very
Yeah,
much
thanks.
for your
You're
question.
welcome. You're
Okay, Mr.
welcome.
Sha'rainon, we have one question here from Mr. Zafri in the chat box here.
Okay.
Listen, eh? Okay, the question is, does the size of the workplace, which is building, affect QR code's effectiveness for space occupancy utilization? That's the question from Mr. Zafri, Mr. Sha'rainon.
Oh, does the size of the
Workplace,
workplace
which is building,
building
affect the QR code's effectiveness? Means
oh
whenever the building is bigger, is the effectiveness become affected? Something like that.
okay actually is the accurateness of data. Okay, so if the building, okay, since that we have numbered all the rooms, numbered all the rooms because we want to manage the room, we tag the room, why not we paste the code based on the room number? Okay,
Yes, yes.
so if for example, okay, we go to Alamanda. Maybe Alamanda is one of the shopping mall. Okay, so you scan one at the entrance and everybody scan at the entrance, so you only get data about people enter to Alamanda on any particular time. So that data is good, but it's not detailed. Okay, data is good, but it's not detailed. I mean,
Not
if you want to
detailed.
do further processing, where they go, which floor, what I mean, which area, so you can't analyze further. So I mean, that does matter. I mean, the size and the numbers of QR code does matter. So when you start creating the QR code for every entrance, like entrance on the south, entrance on the north, entrance on the left, on the top, so you can start to analyze from which entrance they use. I mean, everybody use as a main entrance, and everybody like to enter. So then the data is now good and more precise or more detailed. So then you can do your analysis. Last time maybe your analysis only one analysis because you only have numbers of people enter based on time. That's it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now when you extend the QR code to others places, you can have maybe you have 4 entrance, you can have numbers of people, time, which entrance. Okay, so and you extend it another level, every shop have it, so you can know that which shop popular, which time, and from which entrance, so you can like start to analyze this, and of course if the Alamanda start to give this analysis to the tenant, that they say that I want to increase your rate because I saw that there is a demand on your floor, there will be like, I want to start changing the mode of rate, rental rate, or I mean the lease rate, based on numbers volume. Okay, those days they did that, but they need to install the counter, the system that scan numbers of people entering and enter to the building. It's like auto counter machine. It's like there is a security gate, but actually that security gate is actually the came out. There is cost because you need to install many places. But because of COVID-19, because it's a regulation, without fail you scan. Those days, if you ask you to scan, I believe that we don't want to scan. What for? So there's no reason why I want to scan. But now because of COVID-19, you scan. So as a university, authority to do because this is your facility. So you want to safeguard the university, because you want to make sure that if I want to do contact tracing, I can do it immediately, easily. Because time is very important because I want to make sure the spread of the COVID-19 been, the contact is small, so we can start immediately do a contact tracing easily from the data, so if you extend it to others, like maybe in UiTM, if you enter to UiTM nowadays, at the main security guard, they have it, and at the each of the building they have it, but at the lecture room you don't have it, so the contact tracing, if you want to apply for contact tracing, it become very broad, become very broad. So if you have a QR code in each of the room, like what you have, what UiTM have now, so the contact tracing is faster and smaller. So if I were inside the building, but I'm not at that particular floor, so I excluded from the list. Or if I inside the building, but I'm not using the entrance that been used by the guy that been, having the COVID-19, I've been excluded from the calculation, So this is how the data that we can analyze, And so, but I don't know who is in the MOH, Ministry of Health, involved on this analysis. I believe there is a AI system that to do analyze all this information. Suddenly you got a WhatsApp call from the MOH require you to to come to the hospital to have a test. And so, I don't know. We never having a session with them. Maybe UiTM can have a session with the QR codes of the MOH, what they did. No, maybe it's good to know, how they did what they did with our data, to process it, Maybe faculty can, have a contact with them. We interested about this data because of the, we can advise them how can they make it more better. For example, maybe we can contact maybe Tuan Haji Tauran that from the MOH, or from the Jabatan Kementerian Kesihatan, Prof. To have a session about this QR codes, with the MOH. What they going, what they did with the data,
All right. Very
Thank
good.
you, Zafri.
Thank you, Mrs. Zafri, for the questions. Or maybe another question from the students, or perhaps also from the lecturer. We also heard that there are lecturers from UTM earlier. Since we have feedback from our friend from Indonesia here, Mr. Sha'rainon, currently I don't have any question. Clear enough. Wow. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Any other question from the students, perhaps from the student of MSc Facilities Management? As for information, supposedly this program all held every semester, face to face, but already since last year, right, Mr. Sha'rainon?
Yeah.
Online. We meet online. Even me, personally meet Mr. Ahmad Sha'rainon second time in online.
I think it's online. We bring the. I like actually this online session because you meet the lecturer at your house.
Yes.
When you have it at your house, you are actually inviting the lecturer, having a lecture with you while at home. So I always told my kids, my children, they are a student with the UTHM. So I told him this is a benefit where you are actually having a lecture at your bedroom, So you are actually like personalize this lecture, So you should appreciate it, So how to appreciate it? To appreciate it, please wear proper shirt, wear proper tudung, So be ready to on the video. When you attend lecture, when you are not on your video, it's like you are sleeping in the rooms, you are sleeping in the class, And I believe that have a tough time on the network, so that's fine, But if the student that don't have that issues, it show your commitment to the class. It show your commitment to the lecture, and you show a respect to the lecturer. I also attended a class, also attended my class, in UTM, So I think I'm the only one that opened my video, So pity the lecturer because she's alone. She's alone. She's
Exactly,
alone
Mr.
there. You know?
Sha'rainon.
So
That is why I'm here with you, Mr. Sha'rainon.
at least in the, I mean, if we did it in the Zoom, you know, and you don't see the names, you know, you see that somebody, you know, I mean, this is the interaction that actually is good, you know. So, but of course, maybe other people that have a limitation of the internet, you know. So we are okay with that. But whoever don't have these issues, you know, just enjoy the lecture. Enjoy the lecture, you know. So it's like you are seeing a movie, you know. It's like you are see any show, you know. So imagine you see you go attending any show, so you're not well prepared, you know. So you're attending the things, you know. So this way, and when we appreciate the lecturer, because the lecturer also wear everything close to tudung, you know, so expensive scarf, you know, because they want to show the appearance. So this like I mean this I supporting very much this face to face. It saves time, my traveling time. Uh, I mean I can jump from one meeting to meeting. Of course, of course, it's like when the time that you feel bored, you know, because you feel like enough, you know. So because you are not on your video, that's why you feel it like so you saw only the people talking, you're not enjoying the situation by asking questions, chit chat with the lecturer, you know. So I mean that's why this face to face, like this morning I traveled to University Malaysia Terengganu, you know. So when I finish my meeting, I when I finish a meeting in UMT, and then I entered, so I just came back from UMT. Huh? UMT? Very fast. Yeah, very fast because it's
University Malaysia
online. You know?
Terengganu. Yes, it's very far.
Yeah, because and then I mean this is that's why I support. That's why how to show my support to this online. I prepare the proper room for audience. You know, prepare a proper system so then they don't feel bored. They not feel a problem on listening to my voice that very far away. You know, so we invest to have a proper rooms. You know.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Saran. And maybe another question. There's a question there.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam
Nice.
warahmatullahi. Mr. Mat Naim.
Yeah. Okay. I think what we talk about actually is a device or something that to capture the what you call the information, right? On the analysis part, I think QR code or whatever things that we can use like RFID and so on. It depends on the analysis to analyze that. Okay. One thing that I think that we can use QR code is to get the customer feedback. This has been done a lot in the shops, in the if you deal with TM point, they have all this kind of things to get the customer feedback using QR code and so on. But for FM, I think what we can do, because I never been to Changi Airport, but my friends say that in Changi Airport, you can see a lot of booth where you can, there's a machine there or tap, something like tap that you can enter whatever complaint you want to give to the management.
Yeah.
Like even in the toilet also they have it. So one thing, if you want to use that QR code, the beauty of that, we can place it in the whatever place we want. Because customers sometimes, like if you come to UTM, there's a lot of buildings, right? If you just use the QR code to complain, and then with you have a lookup, for example, what place is that, or what do you call the building names or whatever, you may not know, right? Even you have the lookup, okay? If there are hundreds of buildings, then you may lose, right? Which building is this? So if you put a QR code, let's say for this toilet, automatically it address the place, right? The
Yep.
toilet or the whatever place that. So I think this is the best way we can capture the customer feedback.
Yeah.
Because in quality management system, customers feedback is the one of the what they call the line of this quality management system. We need the customers to complain in order for us to improve, right? So this is where we can use QR code. I think the best place or the best way of using the QR code to capture the complaints or whatever feedback from the customer. Okay, that's my sharing tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Betul, Prof. That's correct. Actually, they're supposed to the main reason of when we extended the QR codes is for the customer satisfaction. You know, so when they make the QR code, maybe when I put out the list, what is the reason you want to implement the QR code in your facility? The main thing is supposed to for customer satisfaction survey to get the customer feedback, you know. So the justification, if we want to implement the QR code for the whole campus, you know, of course the management say, why you want to have every area have a code, you know. So to make the customer easier to provide you a feedback, you know. Like I like the idea, Prof, when we are at the Changi Airport, at the toilet, there is a LCD screen. I always like to test how the system works. You know? I remember last time when I went in Changi Airport, I pressed the worst one. So immediately, I can see the facility manager, so not facility manager, but the cleaner run to the toilet to see what happened. You know, so because I want to test the response. You know? When you press the worst one, what the impact to the people that operate or supporting or maintaining the toilet. You know, be in hurry to see what is actually happening to the toilet because they got feedback worse. So we should test it, you know. So sometimes, you know, we give feedback and then we test. If I give worse or maybe 1 star, what happened? And so I think this is a good part, you know. So the QR code is yes, if good that the intention we put because of that to have a customer satisfaction feedback, you know. When they scan, get the feedback form came out. Or before maybe we can integrate it before the door open, you scan it and the door open, then you need to fill in the customer satisfaction form. You know? Where did I learn about the in Malaysia people don't like to give feedback. So they're shy, you know. Jamie, in Malaysia, I mean maybe in ASEAN country, they don't like or they're shy to give feedback. That's why when we do a survey, we don't get the feedbacks. So maybe everybody are experienced to buy the thing on Shopee, you know. How many of
Yeah,
you
correct.
and so I mean in Asian, you know, we shy to give feedback, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we shy
correct.
to give feedbacks, you know. We feel that it's bad to give feedback, you know. So
Yeah, correct.
that's
I
why
think that's our culture, you know, Asian countries that we're shy to give, especially if the feedback that we're going to share is a kind of negative. So no, you know, we're hesitant or ashamed to share that kind of feedback. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But
so
see, for me, yeah, I totally agree on you on that one. But now, as the time goes by, especially now that I'm working already with the different nationalities, it's not about the purpose of giving the negative feedback. It's not about highlighting that they don't do properly or they are not providing a proper service. But especially for me, I'm also providing that services to the different client. For me, it's kind of an enhancement how I can do more on the services that I'm providing with a different client.
yeah. So enhancing our quality that we thought that we already at the peak of the client quality, but actually it's not yet. It's not yet. There will be something that we are missing. Maybe we are forget about it. You know. maybe we overlook. We can, by having this feedback, so
Yes, agree.
okay. Anybody else that you would like to share or would like to ask question about this, the impact of this QR of COVID-19? So will be benefit to the people that managing space if we can have this data and we can start harvesting the data. We can start analyze the data, and maybe we can start with UiTM. I mean, the reports of the QR code UiTM, because when you
Maybe.
enter,
Yes, yes,
so
yes.
why not? So start to
Why not?
gather
Why
the
not?
data. So I mean, rate during COVID-19 at the university that I go last 3 months ago, So one of the professor discussed with me, Sharin, problem, nobody in the campus, but my electricity bill is very expensive. So who are using it, so I mean, if we don't have a CCTV, because everybody need to scan the QR codes, pick up the data from the database of QR code, analyze who are actually enter facility, Okay, so anybody like to share?
Maybe since it's
About these QR codes to them, whether we can analyze this information. Maybe you put the QR code at your home, see what time your husband came back. So they need to scan.
So Sha'rainon,
Yeah, that's it.
the issue now is not only whether you use QR code or RFID. The issue now is how to encourage, customers or whoever using the facility to give feedbacks.
Yeah.
You see?
Yep.
So that's the things that we should discuss. That's also happened to, because I'm the deputy director of the Quality and Risk Management Center in UiTM. So we have that problem actually. When we ask the students to, give their feedbacks, using a questionnaire, whatever, the rate of response is very, very low. So maybe we can, come up with a discussion on that if you have a time lah. I mean, how to encourage them, because as what you said is true. A lot of Asian people, they don't like to give the what they call face to face or whatever lah, direct feedback. Okay, but using FB, yes, if you don't agree with the food, you don't tell the chef or whatever, right? The owner of the shop, but you share it with the world in the FB. That's the issue now. Students don't complain to us, but they complain to their
social media.
FB, through social media, which like a bomb. So we want to prevent this from happen. Before they get the public know about this, tell us first, where that we can improve, right?
I think
maybe we can hear from others who can share how to encourage them to give feedback.
Prof, the successful of the COVID-19 QR code, because there's a regulation
behind. Right? Yeah,
regulation behind it.
Yeah, without regulation, then what's the success factor then?
Yes. So when we want to have a feedback, there is no regulation behind it. There's no. If you give more, for example.
But one interesting point, Sha'rainon, among the Toyota plant, okay, the what they call the Toyota Indonesia actually have the most what they call numbers of suggestions from their workers. Because why? Because each suggestion they pay them.
Wow, that's good.
So they can make money out of suggestion.
So
give suggestions.
It means that suggestion can give them free breakfast for tomorrow.
So we need to do that. And one of the way I said we need to pay the students perhaps.
We said good suggestion can reduce your fees. Wow. I'm sure that they will give a feedback, reducing fees, if a good suggestion, give reduction of fees. something like that, you know, because
Yeah, we need to think about that. Good. Thank you. That's one.
Last time when I worked with one of the water company, you know, so whoever make a complaint about they don't have water, we calculate what are the volume of losses. I mean, the impact from this complaint to the losses. You know, when they complain to the losses, and then the complainer name will be putting under the cabutan betua, you know, lucky draw. Lucky draw. So every month they have a lucky draw. And lucky draw, the price is like motorbike, LCD TV, you know. So like, I mean, it's very, I mean, because they want to encourage people to give feedback, you know. So when they complain there is a leakage there, no water here, you know. So, and they save the water company money, you know. Not, of course, there will be a people that like to complain on the social media, you know. But anyway, so they try to bring them complain to the system, then you entitled for lucky draw. So I mean, give it back to the system, so they entitled for lucky draw. So that's
what happened?
That's what it been done by those days when every month there is always.
So what was the response rate after that?
During that time is good, you know, because every district have a lucky draw, and then they drop the complaint from the newspaper because they channel to the system, they channel to the numbers, you know. Because I did one of the I implement the number. So because I told the owner, the water company owner, if you want to handle with the heat, you know, we need to reduce the heat, you know, because complaint is mean heat, you know. So you need to channel the heat to the proper people and reduce the heat and to respond with the heat, I mean the problem, you know. So, and of course, to encourage people to make a complaint and to provide you the, so you calculate what is the information that they are transferring or the impact to the organization, and then we give them prize as a lucky draw. So they did it, you know, but after they changed the government, no, they have that thing anymore. That's why we don't have water so frequent.
I love when you say that, you know, one is we encourage them to give feedback to us. Another one is they will channel it rightly, you know, rather than using the social media, they use the right channel because they know they can get prize, you know.
And the price is related to the value that what are the company benefit, because reducing, I mean, when they identified the problem, they rectified the issues, so they save the company money, the losses, you know. So anybody, you know, I mean, QR codes, you know, improving the student, give feedback, you know. Actually, QR codes can give feedbacks, you know. So of course, in Shopee, when you give feedback negative, they will reduce the sale. The seller will call you, will apologize you, you know. So that's the power of feedback in Shopee, you know, because when you want to open, I mean, to enter to the shop, at the Shopee shop, you know, you start to looking about their feedbacks, you know. So they become the feedback become a measurement of the performance. And 5 star, how many star that I'm getting, you know. Maybe the student should have also a star rating on yourself, not on the lecturer only, you know. So the student also need to have a star rating. Or this student, this is a 5-star rating student. Oh, okay. So because they attend the class on time, blah blah blah. So I mean, this is like, if because they always give feedback, you know. You know that when we did give feedback to Grab, you entitled good point. Prof, you give feedback to Grab, you know. So they encourage you to collect point actually. Same to Shopee, they encourage you collect point, you know. So maybe feedbacks, you know, QR code, give feedbacks to the space, getting point. And you can claim the point for breakfast, for example. Or you can claim the point, more point, discount on the fees, for example. So this is something that we can build up. Okay.
Yeah, it's good point there. I know now, but the only thing that I need to ask the student what kind of reward they like most. And reduce the fee or get one laptop or whatever.
You know, something meaningful when you graduate is lifetime activity, you know. So this maybe during the graduation day, if you are the, I call it a proactive student, you know, so they can carry the mark. They can carry the mark by semester, you know. For example, give this when people give feedbacks, they are actually proactive, or they are actually what they call it, a concerned user, a concerned client. You know, they are a concerned to the facility. Therefore, they give feedback. They're not complaining, but they give feedback because they're concerned about it. You know? Maybe we give some.
We call it suggestion systems. We have a
Suggestion
suggestion. We need a suggestion system.
Assalamualaikum, Mr. Sha'rainon.
Yes, Dr.
Tuti Haryati here.
Yeah, Doctor.
Oh, Tuti.
Okay. Thank you for your very wonderful and very insightful sharing. Because I'm joining your session a bit late, so I think I missed very some good points on the using of the QR code for this, especially on the space management.
Yeah.
But during the discussions, I think apart from the getting the feedback from the client or the customer in terms of the managing of this space, I think we can also make fully utilize on this QR code, especially for example for the maintenance system. For example, is because it give a very rapid access to the maintenance. For example, during the using the computerized maintenance management systems, and I think without this QR code, for example, the building occupants and also technician, they don't have any ability to quickly report problems and log the maintenance work. So maybe I don't know whether this point has been elaborated previously during this session. That is from my point of view of using this QR code from the maintenance wise. And also maybe we can, I think another problem with the facility manager is when you are managing the space, for example, on the inventory, for example, like a classroom, maybe you need to code or you need to have an inventory list in your classroom. For example, on the desk, how many desks do you have and how many chairs that you have in the classroom. Maybe by using this QR code, you can make an inventory for all those kind of the asset that you have. Something like that. Maybe, yeah, that is another thing, another benefit that we can make fully utilize with this QR code system.
Yeah, you're right,
managing the space.
Yeah. Because this what actually the QR code can be extended more than what we thought. You know, I have involved with the research last year with the We are actually want to have this QR code for to increase the, I mean, as a tourist trail, because if of the historical building they have a QR codes, you know, we scan the QR codes and they come out with the VR system, visual reality, that you can see with the phone what happened to the building, and that's where we blend in the BIM information modeling and also the video, like we blend in through inside, they then become the visual reality, or they call it like something like not artificial intelligence, but something related to the, we can see the VR on your handphone, you know. So the QR code is like activated another application, like Dr. Tuti mentioned about can we use the QR code for activate the complaint system and also for inventory. We scan the QR code because of a simple system that if you don't have a CAFM or we don't want to link with the CAFM, you scan the QR code, immediately they open up the Google form then show you the inventory of your the inventory list of your space. You know? So this is a simple example that we can implement. You know, of course, if you have CAFM, computer aided facility, like UTM, they call it iFarm, integrated facility and asset management maintenance system. Maybe UPM, they call it different name. So this is the QR codes. We can link it to their application to call another, on top of that, another application to run it. Last time we have difficulty to have that easily accessed by the technician. But nowadays, everybody have the phone. Everybody have access to internet. And so to have this application, whether we don't have CAFM, whether we don't have CMMS, it can be easily be done. Now, if we have CMMS, it can be easily integrated. So this is the beauty of this, the QR code function. Those days, barcode is, if we have the barcode with the phone, like what we have now, maybe we can do that barcode. No, but because of the evolution of QR code together with the evolution of communication is in line, so we can make use this information, we can make use this technology to enhance or to leverage for the other activities lah. So yes, betul, it's correct, Dr. T. We can use it for computer aided facility or for maintenance management, for complaint system, for like what we did with Prof. Naim just now. We discussed it for feedbacks, for the client satisfactions, you know. So this is what we discussed, you know. Appreciate Dr. Tuti joining us tonight. Thank you, Dr. Tuti, for your sharing, you know.
Just one question, Sha'rainon.
Yeah, Doctor.
If I want to use this QR code, how should I do? What should I do?
Okay, first you need to generate the code. I mean, there is a free application in the web that you can generating by putting your name. For example, you putting your name, your IC number, your phone number, and generate a QR code. The system will generate, this is your QR code. Okay, so then if you
where to get the system?
Now it's freely in the net. Maybe in your phone also have that function. Okay. I mean, it's like, this already abandoned to the phone that we can easily generate the QR code of our phone. You know? Okay. So those days I need to pay, Prof. Those days I remember that I need to hire somebody to pay to generate these QR codes, you know. So but now it's like, you know, it's abandoned. Like those days I need to pay somebody to generate barcode, you know. But now it's like abandoned to my printer. I can have a list of number. I can generate barcode, so the printer function in the notebooks can generate print a barcode. You know, those days I need to pay. I remember I did for UiTM. I need to pay somebody to generate this barcode. You know, so it's not free. But now it's like abandoned. The technology is abandoned to our machine, abandoned to our phone. You know, so but that's why in the early presentation I bring you to the code. You know, so because you need to create the standardization of how you want to code the building. But for the university, UiTM, UTM, you name it, UTHM, UMT, they already coded the building. You know, they are the first among the first user that code the building. If I enter UTM in 1989, 1991, they already have the F01, B06, you know, they already have the number, you know. So when I did this, when I survey, or maybe when I involved with the Pejabat Pembangunan or the development office of UTM, I said, can I have your space policy? Of course, it's a new staff. They doesn't know what does that mean, space policy, or can I have your space information or your listing? They doesn't know. But when I talked with the director, they said, yes, we have a books of this. So they come out with the books. This is our space guideline and space policy. For the new staff, they doesn't know, because when they came into the university, they already have number. They don't know the history, how they created the number. Like maybe you are in the UiTM, so the building already been numbered, you know. But how they create the numbers, how they come up with the numbers, you know, they need to come up with a space policy, space guideline, you know. Fees, there is a space guideline or space policy under the economic planning unit of Prime Minister Department. They have it, you know, but not many people know it, you know. Not many people appreciate it. You know? We did one project for the logistic company, you know. I dig that, can I have your space guideline? They said, I don't have it. I went to Akib Negara, take that information, show it to them. So this is your guideline, you know. Because they are new, they doesn't know this thing, you know. So they don't appreciate it, you know. And so I think when the code is important, from the code you generate the QR code or barcode from the abandoned application that they have currently available in the printer. If you subscribe the driver of HP, you say I want to print barcode, so then they can print out the barcode listing. Or QR code, now you can subscribe to the application in the web, generate a barcode reader, they call it. Generate a barcode, generating a QR code function. So there is maybe remember that I have a name card in the QR code. When this because the phone has scan function, when they scan my name, my QR code, they immediately, I mean, the guy that scanned the QR code no need to enter my name because they have my name, my address, my phone number, my email address, and everything inside their phone. So it saves time. And it saves time, you know. So instead of can I have your number, then start key in, you know. So
yeah.
So there is a, I mean, you can generate that your personal QR code actually.
So we can Google it now, huh?
Yeah. You can Google it lah to be the right word.
There's also ni Prof Mat Naim. There's also sharing session here in the chat box. The action team shared one link. One of few QR code generator available for free in the website.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Careful with the
thank you.
app, because sometimes I mean, because they might use your data, you know. I mean,
I see.
Try to look the good review on the free things lah. Otherwise, they
again,
make use your
refer
data.
to the feedback again.
Again to the feedback, Prof. The feedback is important. Okay, so how about now?
Thank you.
We are actually at what time? Almost 10. Okay, we exceeded 30 minutes, Nash. Anyway, it's a good talk. It's a good sharing. Thank you, Prof, from sharing with us, JB.
Okay, thank you.
Hope to meet you soon. So.
Right. I think maybe we should open for one last question, Mr. Shaarani.
Yeah. So we always say the last 5 minutes.
Yes, last 5 minutes.
Normally, when I said the last 5 minutes, it's always sharing, talking about the prize that you should win.
Maybe. That's also good.
But
topic.
We don't have that prizes on our agenda. So when I said the last 5 minutes, mean we're going to share the prizes. You know.
So
okay, last question. Anybody?
So currently there's no prize yet, lah. All right. Maybe we open one last question before we end to this session. If there is a question, last question from the participants. There's also sharing here, Mr. Sharan from our friend from Indonesia.
Yeah.
They said, wait. In the questionnaire, usually people give 4 to 5 stars or satisfactory remark to the product or service, even the product or service is not that good. As we mentioned earlier, people in Asian shy to give a negative feedback. Or maybe also they have some feeling, scared to hurt the people, the people feeling, right? If they give the negative feedback. Okay.
I think feedback is your right. You know? Yeah. Feedback is your right. So if you have been asked to give feedback, we talk about feedback, not condemning, you know, not critiques. You know, you have and talk honestly, you know, from your heart. And if not used your right properly, you just imagine how bad we are.
Yeah.
How bad we are. We are be giving a right to give feedback, but we are not giving it properly. You know? And so that is what I always say to people. So.
Give a constructive comment, right? Constructive comment to someone who improvise.
15 years ago, I meet one of the owner of this company. You know, this owner of the big firm. Whenever he give a speech or talk, you know, then when they want to end up the session, they always say any feedback or any criticize to my event, to my talk, you know, any critiques that you like to you like to share, any critiques that you want to me to improve it, you know. So I learned from this guy a lot, you know, how come, you know, they allow people critique him. So, and this is American, you know, he's architect, he's also uh, uh, mechanical engineer, he's double degree. He's also he's an architect at the schools, learn with Cesar Pili, you know. So this is like I met him like I think 15 years ago in the Boston. So I learned from him a lot, you know, how the way, you know, and get feedbacks, you know, and critics, you know. I remember any feedback or critics. So, okay. So, and because of that, we also have a feedback system. So don't forget that whoever that participate in this event, feel free to browse our webinar session through the link. And also they can have a providing a feedbacks to this event for us to improve, you know.
Inshallah, Mr. Sha'rainon. All right.
Okay.
I think we should end the session already, Mr. Sha'rainon. Already past almost 30 minutes. Supposedly we end at 9:30. Now it's already 10. All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end part of our event on this evening. Once again, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to say thank you so much again to Mr. Ahmad Sha'rainon for the informative and interesting talk, and to all the participants for your attention and active participants. On behalf of the program AP779 program, which is MSc Facilities Management, lecturers and all the students here, once again, thank you so much for our panel industry. This sharing session, as I mentioned earlier, supposed to be every semester in face-to-face. Already 2 sessions I joined in online. Hopefully our event on this evening will be beneficial for everybody, inshallah. I mean.